keep saying I'll start on Monday, and Monday never comes. I go on a holiday soon, and I really want a bigger bum and a smaller waist. Can you help?
Look, if you wanna come gym, make sure you put the work in. Some wanna get fit, some wanna get slim, some wanna start competing, but enough of them just can't stop cheating. When their belly is full, they're still eating. Me, I practice what I'm teaching. They don't live what.
What's up, Fit Fam? This is Giovanni from Gio's Logic, your host of Fitness Junkeez. I hope this show meets you in good health and spirits, and if not, I hope it inspires you to do something about it. Well, I'm really excited. I got my brother Kyron again.
What's going on, man?
What's up?
It's been a little minute.
Yes. So, before I get into my new space, headspace, let's catch up with you. Where are you at now? I know, like, the last time we talked, you, I think, were just coming off of Olympia.
I believe so, yeah. You're right, actually, yep.
You were considering going up.
Yes.
And there's some challenges in staying in men's physique and then going up to, I don't know, were you going up to 212?
I was going up to classic physique, actually.
Right. And so where are you at now?
Okay, so it's been a little bit, a lot of things happened since then and now. But so I began training for classic, and I spent most of that year actually training for classic, getting my body prepared. I got to like 230, which is like the largest I've been ever in my bodybuilding career. But then through the entire journey, I knew that I was going to see where I was at and then speak to my coach to see if he felt like I was ready for classic. So we got to Legions, which was my first show that was planned for classic physique. Right. And we were about like maybe a few weeks away from that show. But there was another show, there was a Daytona Pro. So we were kind of thinking of, okay, let's see, have I made it to the proper size for to be competitive in classic, or am I still within that men's physique and I can give it one more shot? So there's another show, Daytona Pro, and that would have been my last chance to qualify for that year's Olympia. Right. So we made the decision to do that Daytona show, see how I fared at that show to see if I was still within standards for men's physique, or if they thought I was too big and I had to go to classic. Right. So we did that Daytona show last minute. It was like the week of. We went out there and did that men's physique show. I won that show. And I still planned on doing Legions and classic physique, but then me and my coach sat down after I won that show and was like, yo, Legions is a show you've been doing for years. This is the largest that prize money's ever been, because typically you win Legions show, it's like 2,000. Right. This year it was 20,000. Whoa. So it was like, it's like almost set up for you to go take this show. So we decided together to actually stay in men's physique for that year. Right. And it worked out so well because me training for classic, me switching my training style and looking for a more complete physique, it actually helped me bring such a different package to Allegiance that I was able to win that show. And I was able to win that show and beat the guy who was like the current Mr. Olympia. So like after we seen each other, like so much happening, and I felt like everything was meant to happen the way it did, because it led to something pretty dope. Wow. Yeah.
So what did you come in at in that first show the last show before you won the other one?
Oh, so I placed first place at the Daytona show.
No, like, how much did you weigh?
Like, how much? I think I was when we weighed myself, I was 209. So I got to 230. That was like at the peak of my bulk, and then me shredding myself back down, I was at 209. Yeah,
you were diced at that.
Super, yeah, like super.
Wow. So then you're like, okay, you just kind of at the pinnacle there. Yeah. So you qualified for Olympia. Mm-hmm. Were you in Olympia this last year?
I wasn't at this past year, no.
Okay, because I didn't see you.
Yeah. So
more happened.
Basically, so like I did that Legion show, and then I did Olympia that same year because I qualified, and I got 7th place at that show. So and then after I got that 7th place, I decided to do Arnold in March of the last year, and I got 4th. So I decided, I feel like I've been going for the past like 7 years so far, like nonstop, year after year. Right. So I decided to take a break for the rest of the year for 2024. So I decided to sit out of the season for the rest of 2024. So I didn't end up doing the 2024 Mr. Olympia.
And so where are you at now?
Right now, after having a full year off, I kind of like dived deeper into like yoga. I became a yoga instructor back in 2020. And it was something that was part of like my routine for a long time. But then when I got to Vegas, I wasn't as on top of it as I wish I would have been, but I took 2024 to kind of like reintroduce myself to like having a yoga practice every day and like sticking to a yoga practice every day. And with that, I was able to kind of like uncover a lot of stuff about like my past and just like it brought up a lot of like stuck emotions that I felt like I consciously got over, but it brought it up and I was able to kind of like confront a lot of different things. And that was the journey this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's that. And man, that's like what you were talking about, right? You're like, you got to talk to Kyron. So
I appreciate that.
I retain some of the information you gave 4 years ago.
Most definitely, I appreciate it.
So I had a big awakening or similar thing, not with yoga, but with my spiritual practice. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that part of your reconnecting with your yoga practice and your daily practice, it has a spiritual piece to it.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about where you said you first became an instructor in 2020?
Yeah, 2020.
And what was the precipice of that? Why did you get into that? Like, how is that kind of combining with, because most bodybuilders aren't yoga instructors.
Indeed. Very true.
So
very true.
About it.
So like I've always been kind of drawn, and this kind of started back when I was in the Navy. I was drawn to like esoteric knowledge and stuff like that. Just kind of like reading books and Aleister Crowley. I was always like interested in those topics. You know what I'm saying? And I think when I was younger, it was more about just wanting information that other people didn't have. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where it started. But in 2019, you know, the I guess when COVID first started, people kind of like, it made a lot of people kind of like retract, kind of go inward a little bit. And like when I was in my house, I started to like read up a lot like Bruce Lipton, a lot of like, I started to go a little bit deeper and not so much just esoteric, just more like spirituality, understanding the unconscious mind, the conscious mind. I went like a whole deep dive on that stuff. Yeah. And then I felt like there were so many different like schools of thought. And I wanted to like add some more to it. So I realized there was a yoga class or yoga instructor class they were offering at one of the schools I was going to. And that school is called MPTI. Mm-hmm. And what they mainly do is more like personal training, group training. So they kind of like give you certifications for that. Right. But they also have a yoga class that you can join. Uh-huh. And when I decided to join that class, and when I joined that class, I didn't think that yoga would tie so many of the different modalities together, but it did. Right. And I felt like that was like the missing piece. It was like the other things you could learn and study, and there's rituals, but like yoga is something that was like, it's your body connecting to like that magic that's outside of yourself. You know what I'm saying? So like me learning that stuff, it connected a lot of things for me, and I took a liking to it. Right. You know what I mean? But I began doing a practice for myself, but over time, as I got back into bodybuilding, as like the world opened back up after COVID, I kind of like strayed away from it. I kind of kept certain things for myself, and I would like teach people who want to know about it, but I wasn't as what's the word I'm looking for? I wasn't as devoted to it as I was when I was first learning it. Right. You know what I mean? So that's what led to that. Yeah, it's like these tattoos here. I'm not necessarily Christian, but I use the cross as kind of like an analogy of my faith. Absolutely. And this side is kind of a cross that's kind of beat up and tattered, and it's kind of the battle between having faith and losing faith. I like that. The struggle. I like that. And I definitely had been in a struggle period coming up to 2024, and I met this chick that was really spiritual, and it was just like, it clicked. I'm like, whoa. I'm it's like a feeling like you're lost and then you're found. Absolutely. And that's okay. So I definitely get that kind of how like you think you have all the answers, and it's like, you know, in the, you know, skinless chicken breast and broccoli, but there's so much of this other power and energy for sure that you can bring into that not necessarily will get you that Olympia first place that you're looking for, but to give you that wholeness and like, you know, detach from the outcome and just be whole and connected to the source, and whatever happens. Absolutely. Like when you're doing it, you have a goal that you want to accomplish, but as you incorporate these other things, other things start to be like shown to you. Like you may think what your purpose is to win this, but as you go through the process, you realize, oh shit, the purpose is the people that I'm affecting doing this, or like the things that I'm learning as I'm doing this. And so it just uncovers more of what you think you were supposed to be doing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. That's awesome, man. That's so great because so what I've found, and I think you even mentioned it, you know, you talk about, you know, Bruce Lipton and the subconscious mind, and like how much we don't know.
For sure.
The subconscious mind controls all our behaviors.
Absolutely. All the programming.
Oh my God. And it's like, if you're not conscious of that, you know, you're this reactionary being, you know, being triggered by everything and everybody. And it's not the way our soul's journey is supposed to go, or it is in a way, because we're learning to, those are the things we need to learn to transform.
Absolutely. So, we need that obstacle to realize an obstacle to overcome it to move on. Absolutely.
So how do you, well, first of all, that's kind of works in and out of your life, it sounds like.
Most definitely.
And like now that you're so conscious and you're on this spiritual growth path with your bodybuilding, first of all, like where do you think that came from? What is your opinions on the ins and outs of it? And then what are some of the things that are opening up for you that were like, you know, it's like when you're awake and you start noticing all the miracles happening, you're like, wow, yeah. And like, Fran, get in touch with me. He says, you know, you should get Kyron. And like this will be on, and some people will see this, and you know, whatever happens.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that part of it.
Now, this is a conversation we were just having. I think and bear with me as I speak about this, I think with anything, there's always like that duality that you kind of spoke of, like having faith and then losing faith. There's always like opposing energies to like things that are going on. So if there's a push toward understanding and enlightenment and people kind of like getting in touch with their soul, there's also that opposing energy that doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So I think as you're on this journey, you'll realize that you'll come up against challenges. But once you become aware, and once you start moving out of that awareness, start to see obstacles. And like those obstacles aren't because of the program that you weren't aware of. The obstacles are because of other things. And I do believe in that. I don't like to put that doom and gloom over things, but I do understand that there's opposing forces. It's supposed to be that.
Yeah.
That other energy is supposed to be there, keeps everything in balance, but you have to learn how to navigate those energies that come up against you. So that's what I'm learning is happening. And as much as you don't want to think it's that, you can't blind yourself. Like once you become aware of certain things, you can't just like, okay, no, that's not happening. That's not happening.
Right.
You got to take it into account and learn how to navigate. So I think that's the journey that I'm in right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And like, where do you think, because I was telling Fran, like, my dad, who's passed away now, he gave me a book when I was like 17, and it was like this book called Love is Letting Go of Fear.
Okay.
And he gave me like A Course in Miracles, you know, Conversations with God, like all these books that I've been reading and connecting to, and like, you know, having epiphanies and awakenings, but I never really was like, oh wow, this is it until this year. So
come right back to it.
Right And it's like, where did you think it started for you? Was it the Navy? Was it before that?
I think it was way before, especially as I began to like go into my yoga practice and like it started to uncover certain things and certain things that happen when you're super young, you're not very conscious to understand the whole play out, the whole like tapestry of what's happening. But then as you get older and you start to pull these things in, you start, oh wow.
Right.
Oh wow. So
I'm
like
dealing with that.
Exactly. And you like, so as I can see that the journey started way before, like way before I was even conscious of what was happening. I can see like even as a child, kind of like things that were happening, the people who were brought into my life, because if my upbringing was very strange, and the people who kind of came into my life and like kind of loved me, even though like my parents weren't able to at the time, like I see all that as like the workings of something bigger. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, when you start I even just learned this term, this shadow work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like those childhood traumas that built your subconscious that are now really controlling your reactions in the present if you're unconscious. And it's so you're talking about, maybe from 2 to even younger to 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Like you're just taking in all these things,
all these experiences that shaping how you will deal with everything else later on.
right?
You know what I mean?
Right, and it's like it plays itself out in the present, and it can be so destructive. And not to be doom and gloom, but it seems like there's so many people walking around, with these core,
like
traumas.
Yeah, for sure.
That they don't know why they're unhappy. They don't know why they can't, get the job, get the girl, get the whatever they want.
You're not programmed for it. You got programmed.
Yeah, and it's like, so when I had a realization with meeting this person, I'm sure you believe you bring these different souls into your life to learn things and to kind of work on your baggage. And like for the first time, I was I got in down this Kabbalah hole. I don't know if you've got into Kabbalah.
Jewish mysticism, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, again, like similar stuff. Like, oh yeah, like I hear this from this dude, and like it's all like all these really heightened frequency, heightened energy, thought processes, soul, spiritual laws that are governing us that we really don't know about. I even like went down the life, rebirth, like born
reincarnation. Okay.
And in Kabbalah, they say that you pick your parents. Your soul picks your parents so that you can work through your baggage that you're bringing from your past life. Absolutely. And it's like, I'm like, whoa, like what? What?
It gets extra deep, and like it's a spiritual science. You know what I mean? Like what you understand, because there is a mechanism behind all this stuff, but the mechanism isn't like a physical thing. It is a spiritual mechanism that we have to navigate, and it gets deep.
Oh,
it gets deep, to say the least.
No, I know. Like I said, I've been studying it for like 30 years in different books and different stuff and getting pieces here and there. And it's not until now it's all clicking together. And then I said, well, like my whole message has been always, to, help people change their lives through fitness. And I've always had like a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, like, I know like people, there's got to be people that are succeeding and that are doing well in fitness because it ain't easy.
Absolutely.
And I was like, I need to explore this part of it because this part of it is so important.
Most
definitely. And I need to talk about it to people so that other people can go, oh yeah, maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah.
And maybe there is more power I can tap into. And it's like, and then I'm like, oh, but like, what will people think? Are people ready for that?
That little fear, that little tension of like, nah, I don't want to talk about that because of whatever, make it like that persecution gene or whatever's there.
Right.
There's always something kind of like, nah, don't talk about that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then I said, I've this unbelievable like faith and certainty that like, no, this is the right path.
Absolutely.
And then I started, going like, well, like, okay, so I'm gonna start to reach out to people again and like, to see, what's the feedback gonna be? And like, are people like walking
open
around
to this,
having a spiritual, foundation, whatever it is, spiritual, religious, whatever it is, power greater than us, but they're afraid to talk about it too.
Yeah, I get that.
Because they're afraid that people won't be responsive to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. I feel the energy.
If you feel compelled to speak about it,
yeah.
it's for a reason.
Yeah.
It's for a reason.
And like, I started reaching out to a couple people and I got the positive response. And it's like, and like the last person that I brought on, she was maybe a little less open to it.
Mm-hmm.
And people are where they are on their journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's really exciting to talk to you because it's like I can see you're in it.
Yeah.
And it's like it's authentically in you. I can feel your energy when you're talking about it. And you're looking at your girl and you're like, what is going on?
We talk about this stuff all the time. Like just what we're observing in the world around us and what does it mean on a different level. Like, so we have this, so that's why she's like, well, of course.
Right. So now that you've kind of gotten back into your yoga practice and you're in it and you're feeling, whatever, enlightened or the light is on you, and what things do you think are opening up for you, or do you find your path maybe changing, or?
I absolutely do. I do find my path changing.
Can you talk about
it? Definitely. I think what I've learned is like the importance of maintaining a spiritual practice, because how we mentioned before, how time you get that like that opposition that comes up, and like you can have that confusion at times, or like whatever fear that comes up of talking about it. Like having a spiritual practice has like allowed me to kind of like armor up as you navigate through life. And I feel like with that, like that's part of my path opening up to like the importance of having one and why it's so important.
Right.
And also just like, I think I'm not gonna say it's led me away from bodybuilding, but it's made me incorporate things about myself that I kind of left behind. I used to be really heavy into music. I used to be like super heavy into music, but I kind of stopped it once I got into bodybuilding. And I think that maybe even if it's not music, but just expressing myself, when you understand that like you are supposed to express yourself in a certain way, I think that's what's being shown to me. Like express yourself in a different way, because like that's what you're supposed to be doing at this time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And when you do that, you feel fulfilled.
Yes, way more fulfilled, and I feel like it's coming from a place in myself that's more authentic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, does that mean you're retired from bodybuilding?
And that's what this year was too, to kind of see if I'm still going to have that pull, and I realize I still do have that pull. I think that's part of me as well, is making sure I don't know if it means to be on stage and compete, but definitely like living the lifestyle, like making sure my physique is a way that I want it to be, and maybe eventually get back on stage. I'm going to see where I'm at as this year progresses to see if I'm getting that pull, but I know it's still in me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So now, what is your main thing? Is it training people or teaching yoga? What is it?
It's coaching people. So people who want to get on stage, but what I've learned is that people who are drawn to me are looking for something different. They want to get on stage, but they're also interested in the other parts, the other components of the things that I speak about. And like that's what's been happening so far. A lot of the clients I've been getting, like they want to understand how to meditate. They want to understand how to understand how to build their own spiritual practice that they can kind of keep with themselves and navigate. So that's what's been happening so far. Just like,
wow,
I'm able to teach them what I've the spiritual aspects and things that I've incorporated in my journey in bodybuilding. And I think they've kind of helped me out in certain ways. I can kind of show that to other people and help them like do the deep dive in the research to understand themselves and build their own spiritual practice to apply it to their competition preps and all that.
Wow, that's so cool, man. That is like perfectly, like the perfect guest for this show, and where I want to take it. I mean,
that's crazy.
It's crazy. It's when you feel that energy, man. It's really powerful, man. It's really cool. It's like you kind of get high. It's really weird. So. Talk a little bit more about the struggles of bodybuilding and living the bodybuilding lifestyle, or even the fitness lifestyle? Because I'm assuming you probably have some lifestyle fitness plans.
I have a few.
Right. And, you know, we talked before about, you know, loss. You know, when you lose a competition.
Most definitely.
You're putting yourself out there to be judged. Do you have any, like, I know each person's different, but, like, what are some of, like, the broad strokes of how you kind of bring somebody to the light, if you will, in a fitness or bodybuilding practice?
I think a big portion of it is like they've gotten to a certain point in their own journey that they want more, like they want to so they may see me speak about certain things. They could just be one thing that I say. I remember one person told me, like, you were talking about like doing candle gazing, and for some reason that stuck with me, and I wanted to like talk to you. I wanted to like learn some more about what you're into. Right. So like I think it's people who kind of are already at that point in their journey where they're thirsty for that knowledge. Right. And I think my journey has led me to the point where I can kind of guide them from that point to wherever my capability stop. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I think that's how it's worked. Like, it's not me kind of taking someone who's not even interested in it and then bringing them to a certain place. It's people who are ready for that. Right. Those are people who kind of enter my space, if that makes sense.
Right. But I also think, I won't say everybody, but there's a lot of people thirsty for the answers. Yeah. Whether it's in how do I keep the 50 pounds off or 20 pounds off or win a bodybuilding competition or you know, live a healthy lifestyle. Yeah. Like, everyone is, you know, I always talk about, you know, being a personal trainer is, you know, 10% success and 90% failure. Because once they stop working with you, usually they fall off.
I feel that.
But you gotta build that foundation, and if you build it with a spiritual practice, I think you have more chance to succeed than anything, you know,
most
because
definitely.
You're not alone. You know, if you can teach that you're not alone.
Yeah, because with someone's fitness journey, it's a very physical thing. Okay, I know if I work this hard, I'll get these results. Right. With a spiritual journey, you feel like you realize that you're being supported by something bigger. You know what I mean? So like once you do certain things, like, oh shit, like you start seeing miracles happen. You start seeing like these synchronicities happen, these coincidences happen. It's like, okay. It's not just about if I do this equal amount of effort, if I put this amount of work in, I get these results. Sometimes we all understand that, so that's a lot of times people fall off because they don't feel like putting that work in. But with your spiritual practice and your spiritual like journey, as soon as you like meet it halfway, a lot more happens. You know what I mean? Like it's not always like the amount of effort you put in, that's what you get back. It's like you maintain a connection with spirit, and so much more shit happens. You know what I'm saying? Right. Excuse my language. But yeah, but so much more happens, and I think that's what allows people to kind of like cement themselves. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, what do you do to, like, keep on track? Obviously, your yoga practice, and it probably has some meditation and, like, what is somebody like, you know, it was funny. We talked about, like, I think we talked about, like, your daily meal stuff. We talked about we talked about, you know, working out and whatever. Like, what is like a basic plan for you? Like, my personal thing is, you know, I do my practice in the morning, and it's the way I meditate. I do my manifestations. I do my gratitude journaling. I do all that in the morning, and because I feel like I don't want to have any excuses to not do it later in the day.
I feel you.
What's your like go-to general practice?
My general practice. So like I mentioned the term spiritual science because for a lot of people who aren't really there yet, something like it could seem like some woo-woo stuff. But when you put that science word behind it and you understand like what we're actually doing, like for me, I do my vowels. So you know how like the vowels in the alphabet, all those vowels, they have a certain vibration, and that vibration corresponds to each one of your chakra points. So with that, I like to align my chakra points by vibrating the vowels. So like with the U, that's your root chakra, ooh, and like you connect your tongue to your mouth, your tongue to the roof of your mouth, and that will stimulate each chakra point, open it up, balance it out. And for me, like that's a very like strong one. It's a physical one that you do. And you know that with each one of those things, you're aligning your chakras. And once your chakras are aligned, most difficulties or things that we struggle with comes from one of our energy centers being out of alignment.
Poor health,
Exactly. All that stems from those energy centers. So if you can address that first thing in the morning, that sets you, that puts you ahead. It kind of like stops you having to deal with a lot of things that you would otherwise. Right. If that makes sense. So like that's one of the things I do. I also do. I have another practice where it's a Kundalini practice. It's part of yoga. So it can be a little strenuous, but you lay down straight. Put your body in a straight line. You lift your legs up 6 inches off the ground, and then you also lift your head up off the ground. You tighten your body up, and you do something called dragon's breath, and like that's a breath that's controlled with your abdomen. So you inhale through your nose, forcefully through your abdomen, and you do that for about 40 seconds. And then once you do that for 40 seconds, you squeeze your body, squeeze your body, and it stimulates all your chakra points in one go instead of doing it separately. It's supposed to purify your blood. It also helps like oxygenate your muscles. So like that's another practice that like I've been doing for a while. So I do those 2 practices each day, and then also my actual yoga sequence that I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And some days I won't. Some days maybe if I don't do my yoga practice, or maybe some days I won't do the Kundalini practice, but definitely vibrate my chakras. That's something that I know I got to do every day.
Right. And so what's that time commitment like?
It could be maybe an hour 20 minutes or more, depending on how fast I go through it. But sometimes, like for me, I like to ease into my day. So I get up, eat something, do my affirmations in the mirror, and then I'll go and do that. You know what I mean? So it may take like an hour and 20 minutes to do those 3 practices alone.
Right. Wow. It's like when people probably, I don't have an hour and 20 minutes to do that. It's like,
you got an hour to do so much other stuff. You know what I mean?
To like change your life, to change your path, to like be enlightened, to be happy, to be connected to the source and all the miracles.
Yes.
Like, really? An hour and 20 minutes is too long?
When you know how important it is, sometimes I like to do experiments. Like days when I don't do it, there's been days where we're running busy or something like that. I just see how everything happens when I don't do it. You know what I mean? So it's just, I understand the importance of making sure you do it every day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Man, this is so cool. So what is your like how do people get in touch with you? Still on IG?
Yeah, it's still on IG, but for the most part, like IG, trying to see where else they can really. For the most part, it's IG or TikTok. I don't really be on TikTok too often, but mostly IG. Just send me a DM
and
get in touch with you.
Like, how does it like go down? Are you still at Dragon Slayer?
Oh yeah, so I still go there sometimes. For the most part, if I'm training, I'll probably train at our apartment gym, train there, but or Torture Gym. I'll go to one of those three gyms.
Okay, and then like, where do you take clients for the other stuff? Like,
so like
if they want the whole package.
So the client that I just had from Utah, we actually traveled down to Utah. He actually traveled up. He traveled up here from Utah, and we kind of went to my apartment gym. Kind of went over a yoga sequence with him, talk on the phone, kind of going through. And he also had a show in Florida. I went with him to the show in Florida. We got like an Airbnb out there, and then while I was there, went over like vibrating the chakras with him. Went over breath work with him, went over everything, even the yoga, went over everything with him. So like people who wanted that in depth, we'll definitely work around your schedule, my schedule, and see how we could like meet and kind of get all this information to you.
Right. So I really love this because I want more people to tap into this because it's I think where everything is going, and I think so many more people once they understand that it's not woo-woo and there's science behind it, that people will start and like when people are talking about it openly and like it's not like like, okay, these dudes aren't any
crazy. I get what you're saying. Like you want to make sure the message being delivered by people that people can relate to, that people understand. You're not a weirdo. You're not like we come from the same walks of life that a lot of people do. You know what I mean? So
it's really cool that you're doing this. But what I want to ask you is, how do you duplicate yourself? Because you can't be in all those places at once. Do you have a vision, or are you trying to manifest something where you can reach more people with your message and your practice and your gift?
It's to be completely honest, like it's kind of like a double-sided thing. It's like I do want to reach more people, but I also want people, like the people, to come to me, like the right. Because I know sometimes the message is not going to be received well by everyone unless the person is like kind of ready for it too. But that could also be. I also know I deal with like that persecution thing. Like you don't know who's going to be open to it. You don't know what kind of like stuff you can kind of get from putting certain information out there. So you want it to be kind of like a protected thing,
right?
But and then the people who are meant to or supposed to will be led to you, and like that's how it will grow, right? But I don't know if that's a result of like my own like shakiness from certain things, but
limiting beliefs maybe in that.
Absolutely. I mean, and I know I still deal with some of those. So,
Oh yeah, because it's, this is kind of my message. This is how I'm going to get it out, and it's like, I mean, I believe that people around the world will want to kind of get some really dialed in, spiritual practice that ties into not only bodybuilding but fitness lifestyle. So I'm gonna just drop that little seed.
It's received. Just the way this whole thing played out, coming back, getting off the holidays. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you get out of like a small little cold or whatnot for 2 days. It's just like sometimes you don't want to like not really do podcasts right now, but like as things play, like no, I'm supposed to be doing this. You know what I mean? So like the way things are working out, I'm understanding what's happening.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Wow, I mean, this was, how long have we been doing? I feel like, I don't know whether it's been 5 minutes or 50 minutes.
Doesn't matter. We have a brand new SD card.
Oh, you got fresh space, boy.
Keep going. Keep going.
And just like the timing of everything, like I feel like the world is kind of like moving ahead very fast when it comes like to a bunch of like AI stuff and all that. And I feel like certain things could be dangerous if people don't understand what we are and who we are really. If we don't understand like what our connection is to like source and like the thing that really matter, the progression of technology could like be dangerous if we don't understand ourselves first. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like everything is aligned the way it's supposed to. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's the message that I'm getting right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, the other thing is like, I always talk about, working out and fitness it's like we don't do it in a bubble. Like when we end the gym for 1 hour a day, if that much, 4 or 5 times a week, and then there's all this other stuff. But if you have like a core spiritual practice, which relating to like respecting and loving your vessel and what you put into it, and then movement, whether it's yoga, Pilates, and lifting weights, or all of the above. Talk about your experience with your girl and just like how much it affects all the other buckets in your life.
Almost definitely.
Because like that's, I think, what people are really looking for. Yeah, they want to look good in the mirror. They want to look good naked. They want to feel good about themselves. But on some level, they know how that translates in all areas of your life.
Absolutely.
How do you feel that, you talked about, it's like if you're not bodybuilding competitively, you still want to look and feel good because that energy radiates on a different frequency.
Most definitely.
Where all the miracles are happening.
Exactly. Like I'm a little touched with that. I like that. I think when it comes to having like your connection to spirit or whatnot, and like it allows you to show up to the world the way you're supposed to show up to the world. So like, I think that can lend to some, just whatever your energy was supposed to be in this world and what's supposed to mean to people. It could be through fitness. It could be through, but either way, it's going to include you feeling a certain way about yourself, you presenting yourself a certain way, and I think once you have that connection, those things will come naturally, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it doesn't have to be like you don't have to identify as being a fitness journey. Like once people kind of understand, the fitness would just be a second nature thing that happens because of your connection. That makes sense? Right. And I think that's kind of what happened. I feel like I always connected my fitness to competitive bodybuilding, but like my fitness and how I desire to look and come off to the world, like that's part of why I'm supposed to be here. It's part of like my purpose.
Right.
To, like I said, like you want the message to be delivered by people that people are gonna be receptive to it.
Right.
And I think that all comes with how you see yourself, how you present yourself to the world. And I think me having that connection is going to force me to present that to the world. Right. If that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's like you talked about, different people are kind of like, hey, I heard you talk about that. Hey, you were doing that. And then there's like, you have to meet people where they are at.
For sure.
So, but talk about like your relationship and how that's strengthened. You said you guys talking about.
For sure.
Like that's something that I think, people talk about, why am I working out? Why do I need to look good?
Yeah.
Probably you want to find love,
For sure.
There's some love in there. Because otherwise, why are you doing it? And I'm not talking about bodybuilding, but like talk about like how you've experienced that your spirituality, your focus on your health, and how that's worked and fostered positivity in your relationship.
Okay, so like you said, people come into our lives for particular reasons or whatnot. Like you are manifesting certain souls to continue your progression, to continue your learning. And I feel like that's the same with every connection and relationship that we have in our lives. And I feel like she definitely came into my life at a certain time to kind of expose certain things about myself.
Yeah.
Because as I was learning and like getting all this knowledge and doing these things, but you're by yourself. So there's no real like litmus test of how much work you're actually doing. There's no litmus test to see how much you've developed until you have to like measure that up against someone else and then also adjust to someone else's energy. And especially because that connection is there, you love that person, you want to be with that person. There's that connection that's been established. So you realize that you want to change the things about yourself that make that connection a little bit more tumultuous.
Right.
You know
I'm glad you said change the things about yourself instead about them.
I feel that. And I think that little dance will also naturally happen. Like as I'm changing things about myself that I know need to be changed, or it's been brought to my attention needs to be changed. Same thing's happening for her, and I think that's the dance that happens. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's not so. And I think we connected through fitness.
Okay.
But when we first started to date, like that was our connecting thing. We go to the gym together, but it's become so much more than that. Like when it comes to like understanding, she's the only person I can talk to when like certain things happen. And like who's been with me, who's kind of like understands the way I think to the certain level of like be happening around me. I'd be like, hey, you peep that? You peep all that? She's the only person who I can talk to who understands what is going on. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know if that was the question you were asking, but like that's how it relates to me for sure.
No, but then it's that, and it's there's all this talk about relationships and kind of like the trendy side of being a high level man or a high level woman or whatever, but like there's something that a lot of people are looking for because there's so much fail in relationships.
Okay.
And they're all kind of like, well, at least my experience, I'm single now and I'm dating, and it seems like the older the woman and more experience of bad relationships, they're looking for the answers.
Got you.
And they're looking for this blissful relationship that it's like different.
Yeah.
And to get to that level,
there's so much shit that has to. There's so much work. Like they were filled because there was work that wasn't done on either side.
Right.
But you're not gonna just find someone who did all the work for you, and as soon as you get with them, they're gonna like make you magically different, and they're gonna be
right.
That's never gonna be the case. And
right.
so I think the people that you pull in, you'll start to see something, but like it is difficult. I feel like that is difficult, but again, you won't ever find that perfect person who's going to be like the complete answer for you. The work has to be done on both sides, either
right.
way. You know what I mean?
Right. Do you, like, you know, in the spirit of bringing souls into your life to transform your negative baggage to light? They talk about attachment styles and her core in, wounds and yours. And, you could just be pushing each other's buttons because of the fears you have.
For sure.
And it's not even, trying to be harsh. It's
just who you are.
Right.
Just who you are, who that person is. It will stimulate certain things in you guys that you don't intend to. It's not purposeful on anyone's side. It's just how you were brought up. You know what I'm saying? But that goes back to the programming too. Like, understanding your programming enough to like, okay, is this something that I want to change about myself? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's when decisions have to be made. That's when you got to see it, whether like that journey is at its end or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean?
Right. Or disconnecting from the outcome, and maybe it's a friend.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe it's, I forget who I was. It's this dude named David Guillaume. He's with the Kabbalah thing. He said one of the most important things you do. You talked about, she's the only person you can talk about some of these things. Not too many people are there
who get it. They may understand the information, but just filtered through you. They understand this world filtered through you, and the person who understands it filtered through you. The people who are the closest to you.
Right. So he said to surround yourself with as many people as you can that are, on that growth path, that are connected to the source and doing the work, and that's kind of how you can kind of like foster like a community of energy.
Most definitely.
Because like me stepping out on this platform and going, there's more to it, people, and going, I'm nervous, how people are going to accept this, but like I'm finding more and more people are there. They're just quiet.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and it's like I don't try and disrespect anyone else's position, whether they believe in Christ or God or whoever else, Buddha or whoever. If you just kind of can be certain that you can tap into another source of energy that is going to bring all your desires to light. I want to know more about that.
Most definitely.
So it's great to see and hear, and when you guys kind of looked at each other, when you had those moments going, wow, what are you talking about this? That was just like, those are the kind of moments that are priceless,
I feel that. I feel like, okay, all right. It's a whole community of people out there who are like on this same path.
Yeah. And so on that note, I hope we can be more connected.
Most definitely.
Because
things happen for a reason. I don't know if you were into this stuff when we first had the conversation, or you just didn't want to like bring certain things up.
No, I was, like I said, I've been in a stuck place at that time.
Gotcha.
I was thinking it was fitness and get the top competitors
That's
on.
Crazy then.
Talk about their workouts, and I did ask some questions that weren't maybe typical.
For sure,
about loss and failure and things like that. But I really just want to give, spirituality its rightful place in this space.
Most definitely.
Because I think it's the space that needs it, and it will feed all the other buckets.
For sure. Most definitely.
Wow, man, this is
that's
great.
The flow.
Yes.
That's the flow.
Yes. Yes. Wow, Fit Fam, this was a good one.
I'll say that.
Until next time, Fit Fam, we out.
Peace. That was dope.
Yes.
That was dope.
Yes.